Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we return to talking about the age-old liberal misunderstanding of the gender pay gap that's popping up in a slick new propaganda-style video starring some Hollywood liberals once again. I'm sure pay gap and gender equality debunking has become old, boring, and played out for us all over the years here, but nevertheless, if the left-wingers keep pushing this myth, then I think we still have a duty to take it down a peg or two. A new video and campaign has been getting shared everywhere this week too, going by the name Equality Can't Wait, and ironically enough, it's being led by overpaid millionaire celebrities, who likely never faced any equality or hardships in their entire lives. Regardless, they're still going to sit here and preach to us, and push their fake equality message, equality of course being evenness or fairness between the genders and races, I assume, and of course, equality is something we largely already have here in America and in the Western world. But let's go ahead and see where they go with this video anyway, I suppose. Can't wait to hear what they have to say about this dead horse of an issue in current year 2019.
According to the World Economic Forum, it will take us 208 years to achieve gender equality in the United States.
What? That's the most specific bad news I've ever heard.
Well, it also sounds made up. Come on, John Mulaney, you're a smart guy. What are you doing here? I've loved your stand-up and comedic acting for years now. Surely you're smarter than this, dude. 208 years to achieve gender equality in America sounds like a totally outrageous made-up claim. Any reasonable person would laugh at this assertion, and any respectable comedian would goof on this claim immediately. Clearly, these guys in the commercial are either getting paid off or they're being forced to go along with these liberal lies in order to keep their jobs in Hollywood and to retain their clout and popularity. I mean, just think about what's being presented so far. We're supposed to believe that first, there is no gender equality in America, and then we're pushed to this outrageous claim that inequality is bad and it's going to take over 200 years to fix it. And I have to say, I don't really see any problems with gender equality here at all, at least not in major life-changing relevant ones that are to be worried about. But to then take the leap and say gender equality is so bad it's going to take 2 centuries to fix, well, that's really stretching a bit here. I mean, can you guys even think of any major ways there is inequality in the United States right now? Now, I'm not going to say it's perfect here or anything, and there's certainly smaller issues we could discuss if we're nitpicking, but it's also pretty goddamn fair and balanced already, like Fox News, especially as far as the genders are concerned when comparing them to each other head to head, particularly in money earned and jobs worked. Frankly, everyone has a chance of getting screwed over in this world. Anyone can get the short end of a stick, or you can just get unlucky too. But women in their foundations, like the one behind this video, led by Melinda Gates, well, they basically want to put a gender on victimization. Only women and sometimes minorities, well, only they can be victims, because everything in the world is anti-female and racist, at least according to these radical SJWs. But really, we all know it's not that way at all.
Women are currently less than 25% of Congress, and that's the highest it's ever been, which, is fine because women are about 25% of the population. What's that? It's 50%?
Is women only being 25% of Congress really an inherently bad thing though? That's the real question here. And well, I'm going to argue that this isn't necessarily bad, and it's certainly not sexist to point this out on its own. Sure, this kind of phrasing makes sense basically, and it's the kind of thing you hear and think, okay, yeah, that sounds true. If 50% of the country is women, 50% of Congress should be women too. But that's not really accurate. First of all, there's no rule or law that says our congressional representatives have to directly reflect the demographics of the people, meaning if we have 50% of one thing, that means those things have to be represented in Congress. There's no law or rule for that. And the same goes with other demographics too, like race, religion, party affiliation, and so on. So there's no laws being broken here, to say the least. Next, the implication is that it's not fair or the right thing that's happening. But that's not necessarily true either. Just because one field of work or profession is dominated by a certain group doesn't mean that group cheated their way to get there. And it doesn't mean that profession is biased against other groups trying to get into it. Just compare congressional politicians to any other job, and these same SJW types would have no issue. For example, teaching and nursing professions tend to be dominated by females. Now, would you say that's a problem? Would the leftists? Is the US teaching system sexist against men then? Because I doubt that anyone would say that legitimately, let alone would these anti-male, pro-female Hollywood actors say it. Speaking of Hollywood and acting and comedy type jobs, well, I think it's pretty common knowledge that the Jewish people have a pretty strong foothold in these industries. industries, from top to bottom, including acting, directing, producing, all the way up to studio executive-like jobs. All the way through these industries, a large majority of entertainment careers contain a wildly out of proportion amount of Jewish people. There's really no denying this either. Even this video we're watching right now, it's got a dramatic overrepresentation of them, surely. And I personally wouldn't say there's anything wrong with this either. I have nothing against the chosen people, and I say good on them for doing so well in show business. But according to SJW logic and the argument being made in this very video, well, that overrepresentation of one demographic is a bad thing, and it's happened because of unfair, offensive biases in the systems. Now, I doubt these people in the video would see it that way, of course, because they're hypocrites, and they don't see how their own arguments against the overrepresentation of men in Congress or anywhere, well, that can easily be turned against them in a way they surely won't like in the slightest.
Alternatively, we could just haul ass to Canada tonight. I'm serious. My car's outside.
The pay gap is so bad right now that the average woman's income is less than a Venice Beach mime.
The gender pay gap is so bad women are getting paid like mimes. Wow, what an awful combination of words hoping to elicit a positive emotion from an audience, let alone make us laugh. God forbid. Clearly this is a joke though, but it is based on a lie. Like this whole video is based on a lie. The gender pay gap, of course, has been debunked for years now, and it's never usually presented in an honest way at all. No one who uses this study actually cites and quotes it accurately. Hardly ever. It's always these radical leftists using it to say women get paid less than men. This is simply not true though, and the only way to actually understand the gender pay gap study is to hear a clear and honest commentator like myself debunk crazy people lying about it. For example, the gender pay gap study shouldn't even be called that in the first place. Calling it an earnings gap is much more accurate, since the main thing it really proves is that men earn more money on average than women, and it's not because of sexism or because we cheat or fake it. It's because men work more hours at harder and more dangerous jobs. That's it. That's really all you need to know here. But to go further, for clarity's sake, there is no gender pay gap because men and women are already paid the same rates at the same jobs for the same hours. If they're not being paid equally, their employers will get sued or arrested because it's already against the law to pay certain genders or races or other demographics different wages for the same job. So this whole problem the PC liberals are raising here is not really what they're claiming it is. If they want women to earn more on average and to be more even with the males in this average pay study, well, the onus is really on them to change that. Women need to start working more hours at harder and more dangerous jobs, a task which they already can do and have every opportunity to do. But obviously these SJWs don't want to do that. They don't want to put in the hard work. Instead, they're implying there's a sexist, racist offense being had here, saying women never did anything wrong either. And to imply women should get paid more money by doing the same things as men, well, that means these people think women should get paid more for doing less work than men. Meaning, and hey, this part's the kicker, this whole thing was never really about equality at all. Sure, equality is in the title of this video, and it's the whole liberal propaganda's campaign title too, but if their goal really is to give women more money in these situations, that means they're trying to get more money for doing less, and that's not really equal at all.
They have no walls, but you think they're in a box. Women are in a box of oppression.
Do men get paid more than women for the same job? Yes. But think about how much work we do.
No, they don't. This is a flat-out lie, John. The gender pay gap study, which all these crazies reference, doesn't prove this claim at all either, because it's not true. As we went over extensively before, the study shows that men make more on average, but that's not comparing men to women at the same jobs directly who work the same hours and have the same experience. No, this study is averaging all the jobs together, all the jobs that men work and the money they earn, and compares that stat with the jobs that women work and the money they earn. One side could be, say, making a science experiment and developing an atom bomb, and the other side could be cleaning toilets and or changing diapers, but both are being compared on average. And that's why what we're really talking about here is an earnings gap. So with that said, needless to say, what John Mulaney just said here was a completely fabricated lie. Women don't get paid less for the same jobs. And well, perhaps Mulaney wasn't the one that wrote this, and maybe he was coerced into pushing this SJW propaganda, but regardless, this video is straight up pushing fake news. So unless there's some other newer study that proves this is true, I would say this is yet another fake stat that this video is pulling out of its ass. Just like the whole it's going to take 200 years to reach equality bit from before. Well, this idea that women make less at the same jobs as men is totally made up too. I mean, I even tried to look. I was searching for sources from this video and I checked the description and their website and everything, but I found nothing. No links, no studies, and no support for any of these bogus arguments whatsoever. So in an effort to at least try and do the bare minimum here, I myself have listed posted a couple of links below in my video that support my arguments as stated. These also link back to the original studies at times because me, I may just be a guy on his computer in his spare bedroom, but at least I'm trying here. Unlike these overpaid Hollywood hacks with their big studio budget propaganda-filled videos being made at Equality Can't Wait's campaign headquarters, which obviously is some kind of liberal propaganda think tank.
Here's a fun fact. In the Fortune 500, there are fewer female CEOs than male CEOs named James.
We demand Arias and Andromedas in the boardroom. Shannon!
Well, we already talked about why the overrepresentation of a group in a certain profession isn't inherently wrong, but now let's talk about why this group is talking about the professions that they are. Did you notice how they aren't advocating for more women to be working at janitor jobs? That's dominated by men, but they don't want more females in that profession, just like they don't want more females in the firefighting, ditch digging, or military professions. Those are too dangerous and hard. And they're not trying to get even numbers of females in shitty jobs like garbage collectors either. And also, they're not saying there should be less women in anything at all. SJWs don't want more male nurses and teachers and cosmetologists, even though those industries are dominated by women, and they also aren't advocating for men to get equal representation in strip clubs or as Hooters waitresses. And all of this is because, as we said before, this whole argument isn't about equality or fairness at all. It's about forcing women into high-profile, heavily influential, and high-paying jobs even if they don't earn it or don't deserve it. And that's why this ad is crying for more female politicians and CEOs, and not for more lady truck drivers and police officers. And that's also why female overrepresentation in fields like teaching and nursing is never mentioned, because that's not a problem according to these people. But it should be, because if they were actually about equality, it would. But really, as we can all see here, they're actually not about equality at all. This whole video and its premise is about giving special treatment to women and minorities, while also at the same time shitting on men and white people.
You guys know I have 3 daughters, right? This is actually terrifying.
It's scary, too. 208 years is scary. I want to live then.
So what that's really saying is, not only will I not experience it, no one on this planet that exists right now as a woman will experience it.
Let's keep in mind, these women who claim to be terrified and sad that they're missing out on what they call equality, well, these are all millionaire Hollywood celebrities who have been getting their asses kissed by the pro-SJW liberal media for years. This chick on the screen, for example, she might be one of the least famous ones in this video, but she's still been a high-paid actress on a major Netflix TV show as a main character for 7 years now. Orange is the New Black just finished its 7th season with over 90 episodes, most of which had this chick co-starring in. She made millions of dollars off of that and doesn't have to work another day in her life if she doesn't want to, but no, this girl's still crying about fake inequality. The girl who got famous on a show that was starring all girls is complaining about not getting paid enough because she's a girl. So she says she's pushing for so-called equality, but we all know they just want more money for themselves. If they really wanted equality, they wouldn't have made a show starring 90% women, and they wouldn't be quoting a fake study that doesn't even prove things aren't equal as well.
What's so depressing in the here and now is that they're aggressively trying to strip what rights we do have, and it's heavy, you know?
Wait a second, hold on. Who is trying to strip what rights away from you, lady? Look, you look like an overprivileged, overpaid Hollywood celebrity to me. And this sounds like another flat-out lie for this equality team's video. Unless I'm missing something here and there's some radical anti-female group out there trying to take away their rights to vote or something, well, I'm not sure what the heck this dum-dum is talking about. Women can vote and own property, and they have all the rights, too. They can go to school and get jobs just like everyone else in this country. So just because you want to get paid more money, which is clearly the goal for the ladies here, but just because you want more money for doing the same or less work as men doesn't mean you're oppressed and you're losing your rights. And unless you start naming some rights that you're losing and showing me people and places trying to take them away from you, I'm going to just assume you're lying and making shit up once again.
Here's the good news. We can change this together.
I guarantee men's lives will be better if women's lives are better too.
Let's get equality done faster, like in our lifetime.
We can do this.
Share your experience no matter what gender or sexuality you are.
Well, the thing here is, this problem you're presenting is misleading at best, and you're lying and manipulating the situation at worst. You're also not offering any real solutions here either. Did you guys notice any suggestions being made in this video? Because all I see is a bunch of women and their beta orbiters complaining and calling everyone sexist. I guess the implied fix here is to just give women more money and to put them in high-profile places of power and influence, even though they don't deserve it and aren't the most qualified choices, but I'm not into that. Clearly, these these people want handouts and free passes, basically. The SJWs want special treatment, essentially, which is pretty much the opposite of equality. In the end, the only real way to fix the so-called gender pay gap is for women to work harder and to get more schooling and training and experience. And then they can earn these higher paying jobs that they're asking for. Then girls also need to work more hours at more dangerous jobs as well. And if they put in that hard legwork, they could easily fix this earning gap in much less than 200 years too. But the truth is, they don't want to do the hard work and they don't want to earn it, so that's why they're calling everyone sexist and racist and demanding special treatment and handouts. What do you guys think? Is the gender pay gap a real thing? How come liberals still bring up this long debunked myth so many years later? And does this lying strategy still work on people like all the normies watching YouTube out there? Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see y'all next time.